Hello everyone, my name is Serafi and I'm happy to meet you all, and today we're going to talk about the new Shadowverse expansion coming next week, Infinity Evolved.
Peace is a fragile thing, all too easily shattered and devoured with ravenous glee. So avert not your eyes. Stay ever vigilant, for new threats are ever lurking. Even should the world freeze over and time stand still, you must heed the call. You must awaken the infinite potential that slumbers within. Shadowverse, worlds beyond. Infinity Evolved. Gaze upon a new infinity.
Alright, so the set is coming on July 17th, 1 month after the previous set dropped, and you're going to get some free stuff if you join beforehand. There'll be some quests to get 10 free packs, which would be pretty nice. Let's take a look at some of the new cards to see what we can expect from this new set. First up, we have, I guess since there's no English text, the best thing for you guys to see would be the artwork, so let me move my web camera real quick. First up, we have, I don't know what the name of this card, oh, Aether of the Sky. Aether of the Sky, 7 mana, 2/4. Fanfare, which is when I'm summoned. Summon 3 randomly different named followers from your deck that cost 3 or less. So this is, I believe, yeah, this is Havencraft. Yeah, you can tell with the little single symbol right there. Okay, this is a Havencraft card, and it summons 3 units from your deck that cost 3 or less. And then if you super evolve, you can give all other allied followers on the field +0/+2 and aura. So you give them 2 extra health, and you give them the ability to not be attacked, or not be targeted by spells. Once you've done that, if you're playing a ward deck, which you probably will be based on some of the other cards that we're seeing here, they will also have ward, so they can protect you from being killed. So if you summon 4 ward units at a time, because she also has ward, and they all have a decent amount of health, so they can't be cleared by AoE, and they also have aura to make sure that they don't get targeted by spells or abilities, that can prevent your opponent from being able to set up lethal, definitely. In particular, the 2 bonus health is going to make it a lot easier for you to avoid the Portalcraft unit that deals 3 damage to all enemies. She can survive it because she has 4 health, and as long as you summon 2 other units that have at least 2 health, then you'll have at least 3 units that are surviving this AoE effect. So, the problem is that this does not protect you against the Runecraft AoE card that will deal 10 damage to everything you control. But baby steps. This is a good Havencraft card. The main problem is it's so expensive. Havencraft does not have cost reduction or ramp, so getting to 7 mana is going to be a little bit difficult for them. But if they can get to 7 mana, this will probably stop them from dying when they hit 10 mana, which is pretty good. Alright, next up we have Carnelia, Afterglow of Darkness. This is I assume, Abysscraft. I don't know what the Abysscraft symbol is. I assume this is Abysscraft. Oh no, it's Portalcraft, because it adds Gear of Remembrance. This is the Portalcraft MMO? Okay. 2 mana, 2/2. Fanfare, add a Gear of Remembrance to your hand. Evolve, select an artifact follower in your hand, give it ward, and the following effects can't be destroyed by effects, can be destroyed by damage from effects. Okay, so interesting. So you give one of your artifacts ward so that it can actually stop you from getting killed, which is something that Portalcraft typically doesn't have a whole lot of. And then it also can't be destroyed by a spell. So there are some spells that automatically destroy, like Nightly Rending, which is 4 mana, destroy a follower, and then summon a knight. You can still deal like 10 damage to the card and kill it with a spell, but you can't just automatically destroy it. That's interesting. I mean, Portalcraft is going to get new cards just like everyone else is. I don't really feel like they need too much of a buff, but this card seems reasonable. It'll probably see play primarily because it's another cheap way to get gears, but maybe more in a dedicated artifact deck as opposed to the current hybrid deck, because I don't know that you would cut like a Lovestruck Puppeteer for this. Alright, next up we have Limaga Untamed Wild. Now this is definitely a Forestcraft unit, and Forestcraft kind of feels like it's... Forestcraft is interesting. They have a lot of really good high-cost units, just like everybody else does, but it feels like they don't do enough. So Forestcraft is more focused on playing a whole bunch of one-cost units and a bunch of cards that draw you one-cost units, and then summoning your Roach that has a bunch of attack and charging in for like 12 damage, or 6 or 8 damage, and then returning it to your hand and doing it again so you can hit for like 12 or 13 damage, which is fine. Perfectly fine strategy, but it does raise the question of, if that's the goal of Forestcraft right now, is there any way to actually make Forestcraft cards that cost enough mana to actually not be combo where, like, you couldn't combo in a turn where you played a 7-drop, right? So what would a 7-drop that could actually see play in Forestcraft look like? So we have 7 mana, 7/7, Fanfare, select 2 enemy followers on the field. Give them can't attack followers or leaders until the end of your opponent's turn. Super Evolve, select 2 enemy followers on the field and give them, at the end of each of your turns, deal 1 damage to your leader and 2 damage to this follower. Okay. So you basically summon Untamed Wilds, Super Evolve it, you kill something and deal 1, then you take 2 other units and just make it unable to attack, and then they also deal each 1 damage to the enemy nexus. So you're dealing like, you deal 3 damage, you have like a 9/9, sorry, you have a 10/10, and your opponent has 2 units on the board that they can't use, which means that they can't, it limits their ability to build up a board. Now they have 2 units that can't attack, so they can't kill themselves. You can't just remove them from the field. So now you're going to play, like, you have 3 more zones that you could potentially use to deal with the 10/10, but not 5. So it's like an anti-puppet deck card, anti-ghost card. It's interesting. One thing that Forestcraft does not have is a lot of targets for Super Evolve, so I definitely think that this is fulfilling a niche that Forestcraft currently lacks, but I don't know that that's good enough to make it actually see play. We'll see. Laura Cruel War. Okay, this is Abysscraft. 3 mana, 3/2. Fanfare, select an allied follower on the field and give it Bane. Super Evolve, select an allied follower on the field and give it Storm. So you can give one of your followers Bane. So it can, Bane is, if this unit deals damage to another unit, that unit dies immediately. So it's like Poisonous or Death Touch, depending on whether you come from Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering. And the other thing is Storm, which is you can attack the enemy hero immediately. So if you Super Evolve her, she becomes a 6/4 that can charge in and hurt somebody, and then you just give one of your other units Storm. That's really useful because she's 3 mana. That means you can potentially play a powerful 7 mana card and give it Storm. So you might think that a 3 mana 3/2 is not where you want to be spending your Super Evolve because it's a cheap, weak unit. But to be honest, the Super Evolve giving you +3/+3 means that the stats on the Super Evolve card are not that relevant. Like 6/6 is still going to be able to kill most of what you want to deal with. And then being able to take all the extra mana that you have and feed it into a unit to give them one big push to finish you off is going to be really good, especially for Abysscraft, where your goal is to try and deal as much face damage as possible in like the first 5 turns, and then potentially on turn 7 you could have enough mana to play this card use the Bane to clear off a ward unit, and then you use the Super Evolve to deal 1 damage, and then you use your Storm to like push maybe 5 damage, depending on what Abysscraft units will be available at 4 mana. This could be the finisher card that Abysscraft has been looking for to make their aggressive deck actually close games in a reasonable time frame. I did play against some aggro Abysscraft decks after I made my initial video today, and I did lose to them. So I do see where, like, I was downplaying the reanimation and like the Ghost Abysscraft stuff, but the aggro deal damage to your hero, but then you have like a 3/3 or a 4/4 version of Abysscraft seems to be decent enough at pressuring both Runecraft and Portalcraft. I don't know that it's like an anti-meta option right now, which seems fine. It's kind of sad that Abysscraft is better at aggro than Swordcraft, but there are 2 different types of aggro, so I can understand why Abysscraft gets more damage but fewer bodies. But I feel like Swordcraft doesn't have enough buffs to take advantage of their more bodies. We'll have to see if that changes with this set. Next up, we have Cynthia, 4 mana follower for Forestcraft, 4/3. Summon 2 fairies, Fanfare, and then evolve. Give all of your pixie followers +1/+0. Okay, so you can summon 2 1/1 fairies, and then you give them all +1/+0, and that includes if you play 2 more. Then you could potentially give +4/+0 to your board of little pixies. Seems pretty good. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this. Okay, here we go. Titania Wing Queen. Now, this is absolutely, this is absolutely a card that is going to see play in Forestcraft. This is exactly what Forestcraft has been looking for. So, Titania Wing Queen is a 4 mana 2/2. She has Fanfare, summon a fairy, gain crest, Titania Winged Queen. And then evolve, select an enemy follower on the field and transform it into a fairy. So this is an interesting idea. You can evolve her to basically turn one of your opponent's units into a fairy. Not only does that mean that your fairy is strong enough to kill their fairy, but it also removes Last Word, Ward, Bane, whatever. So it's a very good removal tool. And then the crest is what you're looking for. So for 4 mana, you get a 2/2. It summons a 1/1, decent enough. But now you have crest. At the start of your turn, add a fairy to your hand. And unlike other crests, this does not have countdown. So once you've summoned Titania, for the rest of the game, you get a free fairy every single turn. That is going to make your combos way easier. It's going to give you forms of removal. It's going to empower all of your abilities in Forestcraft that are based on the number of cards in your hand. This card is an easy 3 of for Forestcraft. Wow, great card. All right, next up we have Guardian's Guidance. This is a 2 mana spell, and it requires you to fuse with Forestcraft cards. So now we're getting fuse in non-Portalcraft, which is an indication that unfortunately they're probably not going to nerf fusing, which they really need to, because it just seems like it's. I just ran into someone who it was turn 9, they went second. I had lethal on turn 10, but they got the extra mana, and then they did like a bunch of fusions in the middle of the turn, like right away, with cards that were already in their hand to make the big 10/10 mech, and then they super evolved it and hit me for 13. It was just like, I didn't even know that they had that many artifacts in their hand, and I don't know what I'm supposed to do other than, like, the only 2 things that you can potentially do are play around it and assume that they always have it, or like get out a notepad and keep track of which artifacts they've already fused, because it's just like, that's so much work to actually like keep track of how many gears are in their hand and how many they've used, how many they haven't used. Like, so fusing is frustrating to play against, but this card seems fine. It's a 2 mana spell, fuse Forestcraft, any Forestcraft card. Draw a card. If this card is fused with at least 1 card, draw 2 cards instead. Perfectly fine. You get a bunch of fairies not all of them are going to be used to combo. You can just take one of your fairies, get it out of your hand, draw 2 cards for 2 mana. That's actually perfectly fine. Draconic Strike. This is a 6 mana Dragoncraft spell. Choose a card in your hand and reduce its cost by 2. Deal 3 damage to all enemy followers. Okay, so currently Dragoncraft has a 6 mana spell that deals 5 damage to all followers. And this is 6 mana to reduce a cost in your hand by 2 and deal 3 to all enemy followers. Which is better? I don't think you would run both. So the question is whether you would run the current AoE or this AoE. Reducing the cost of a card in your hand is pretty good, but on turn 6, that's like, well, not turn 6, but, you know, for 6 play points, that's quite an investment. The question is really, like, are we going to be in a meta where 3 damage is enough to clear the board, or are you going to need 5 damage? In particular, 5 damage is enough to clear the, what is her name? Anna and Gwenna? The 5 mana Runecraft, creature. Also, there are some Portalcraft artifacts that have 5 health. I think that here's what I think. I think that if Draconic Strike becomes the meta option for dragons, that will make Havencraft better, because Havencraft is focusing this set on increasing their health total for all their units. So if Dragoncraft gets baited into playing this card, then that means that Haven will rise up as a Dragoncraft counter, which will give them something to do. Currently, Havencraft doesn't do anything. If Dragoncraft gets better, but does less damage, then Havencraft can say, hey, but I can beat Dragoncraft. So that's it's interesting that they're trying to bait Dragoncraft into reducing their AoE so that they can reasonably offer Havencraft as a counter to, like, low damage AoE, because it's not going to be a counter to high damage AoE like what Runecraft has, but low damage AoE, which, to be honest, wasn't really in the game before. I mean, they have the 1/3 drop that does 1 damage to everything, but that's not already not really something that's on the radar for anyone except against Pixies and Swordcraft. Yeah. Next up, we have Pascal's Dance. This is a 2 mana spell. Gain an Earth Sigil. So this is Runecraft. Gain Crest Pascal's Dance. The crest is Countdown 1. At the end of your turn, draw a card. Earthright 10. Double the attack and defense of all allied followers on the field. So, Countdown 1 means that it dies at the beginning of your next turn. So, basically, you can draw a card and get one... or no, wait, no. Yeah, okay. You draw 1 card. For 2 mana, you draw 1 card and you get 1 Earth Sigil. Then, if you happen to have 10 Earth Sigils because of this effect, at the end of your turn, you double the attack and health of all allied followers you already have in play. That seems like a bit unlikely. It's not like Runecraft summons a bunch of units to begin with anyway, and 10 Earthrights is a lot. This is definitely the type of card that would encourage you to play a dedicated Earthright deck, which right now you don't really have a reason to do. The problem is that Earthright already has a crest that counts down and Earthrights. So if you've played Junko before this, which I assume you probably would have, because that's the only real way that you're going to have enough units on the board for this to be worth it, you're already using up multiple Earth runes per turn. So are you really going to be able to get 10 at one time? Maybe. This is a gold card, unfortunately, so I don't know that I'll be able to get it right away, but I'll definitely try a dedicated... This is enough for me to try a dedicated Earthright deck. Because one of the things I hate about Swordcraft right now is that I just feel like their buffs, their +1/+1s, are not good enough for, like, 4 units that are 2/2s. But the Earth Golems are all 3/3s, and if you evolve one of them, it's going to be a 5/5. So doubling their stats could definitely be enough to make Earthrights, like, resistant to all but other Runecraft players in terms of AoE. So yeah, that could be interesting. Next up, we have Urius Levin Transcender, which is a swordcraft unit. 8 mana, 5/7. Fanfare, summon 2 knights to your opponent's field. When an enemy follower enters the field until the end of your opponent's turn, give it the following effect: can't attack, deal 1 damage to the enemy leader, and restore 1 defense to your leader. So, this is oddly worded. And it's part of the problem with untranslated cards. Does this mean that you take 1 damage every time your opponent summons a unit, and then they heal 1? Because if that's the case, that seems awful. That seems like you're going to have a hard time actually killing them. And Swordcraft already doesn't have like a lot of great ways to end the game. They can deal 12 for 9 mana, but they have to actually like set that up pretty well. And 12 is not enough. Giving your opponent the ability to just summon a bunch of units and just heal for 1 every time they summon a unit, even if the unit can't attack, it seems like a pretty rough trade-off. Now, if it's the other way around, if it just says, give it the following effect, can't attack, and then you deal 1 damage to the enemy leader and restore 1 defense to your leader, that's insane. That's like ridiculous stall that also, hurts the opponent and sets up your lethal. So either the card is too strong or it seems a little bit weak, especially since you are giving your opponent 2 units, so you immediately take 2 damage and heal your opponent for 2. But I suppose the benefit of that is you are immediately applying the trait of I can't attack to 2 units on your opponent's board and locking them into not being able to remove your Urius or play any other cards. I don't know. This seems like if Swordcraft plays this card, it seems like Havencraft is also going to be really good against Swordcraft because they'll just play a bunch of ward units. Swordcraft won't be able to get through all the ward units, and then every time that they play a ward unit, they just keep getting healed until they're up to 20, and then they just wait. They just basically run Swordcraft out of removal. So we'll have to see how this card actually works. It's weird. It's weirdly phrased. And it either seems like it doesn't make sense, or it seems like it's insanely broken. Alright, next up we have Prim Holidaying Princess. This is a 2 mana, 1/1 for Forestcraft. Or, was this Forestcraft? Oh no, I think this is a neutral card actually. How can I tell? How do you tell from the card what class it's from? This is Swordcraft. There's no emblem on the card that says that it's Swordcraft. Like, the artwork does not indicate that I mean, there's a sword, obviously, but other than that. She's just eating a bento box. Okay, I'm assuming this is neutral. 2 mana, 1/1. Fanfare, add a Nonja Silent Maid to your hand. Ambush. Ambush is... until I have dealt damage, I cannot be attacked or targeted by spells. Super Evolve, give all other allied followers on the field +1/+1. Okay. That is really good. So, Prim is Nonja Silent Maid is a 2 mana 2/2 that has Fanfare. If you control Prim, gain +1/+1 and Bane, and she also has Ward. So she's a 3 mana. She's a 2 mana 3/3 Bane Ward, and then you can make her a 4/4. This card is actually really good. So it's a 1/1. It gets you a card that's useful to you, especially to evolve. Like, so if you play this card on turn 2, you can potentially just leave it there, wait a couple of turns. You don't need to deal 1 damage to your opponent. You just leave it there and ambush, and then on a turn where your opponent has summoned like a dangerous card, you can remove it for 2 mana by summoning this card and then evolving it. And then you have Bane, you remove something, and then you can continue to build your board because you removed your opponent's threat for just 2 mana instead of 5 or 6 mana. And then at some point, when you've assembled more of a board, then you can super evolve her and go face for 4 while also buffing the rest of your board by +1/+1. So this card is good in the early game. She's also good in the late game, just like how the other the 3-drop that has super evolve ability was because if you draw her on like turn 6, you could play like 4 guys and then summon her and then super evolve her, and then you have a bunch of other guys that are really powerful. Well, I mean, typically you wouldn't be able to super evolve on turn 6 unless you're going second, but you get what I'm saying. So it's a good card in the early game. It's a good card in the late game. Any cheap card that has a useful super evolve is very flexible, and that's what we really need. We need more flexible cheap cards, because part of the problem that Swordcraft currently has is that their cheap cards are only good if you draw them right away, and then if you draw them later, they're bricks, and Swordcraft doesn't have enough draw for them to tolerate having bricks, which is why they've just stopped running those low-cost cards altogether, and created more of a mid-range strategy, which kind of makes it feel like it's not so much Swordcraft anymore. So yeah, cheap cards with super evolve, excellent design. All right. Okay, here we go. Here is the Havencraft card that I've been alluding to throughout this video. This is where I think Havencraft is going to really start to shine. We have Wilbur Desolate Paladin, a 6-mana 4/6 with Ward and Last Words summon 2 copies of Holy Cavalier. Last Words is, if I am destroyed and not banished, trigger this effect. Evolve, gain a crest. And the crest does not have count now, so it's permanent. Whenever an allied follower with Ward enters the field, give it +1/+2. So Ward prevents your hero from getting hits. It will guard your other units, and it will guard your face. That's huge because of all the storm that's running around. So Wilbur can protect you from getting hit, and then not only that, when he's destroyed, he summons 2 Holy Cavaliers, which are 1/2s with Ward. So if you have his crest, now those are both 2/4s with Ward. Now it's important to note, this is evolve and not super evolve. So part of the problem is you're going to need to save one of your evolves for turn 6. That might be a little bit difficult to pull off. You might need to use your evolves pretty early, but as long as you can keep one evolve for turn 6, you are going to be in a really good position where you can just play a ton of Ward units that have a ton of health, and then your opponent can't do the typical strategy of trying to remove all your Ward units with AoE, and instead will have to crash into them over and over again, and that will allow you to chip away at their board and also keep your health total high, so you can try and mount some kind of counterattack. Now, Havencraft will still need to actually assemble a win condition, but this gives them a much stronger protectorate game, which is the goal of Havencraft. So even if you lose, you'll feel more like you were playing an actual Paladin-style deck. So I feel like that's a win. Like, it gives you a clear option to set yourself up for victory, but also, even if you lose, it felt better than without it. So I feel like this card will be played at 3. Alright, next up we have Gildaria, Anathema of Peace, which is a Swordcraft legendary. She is a 6-mana 4/4, and she has a new keyword called Rally. And why can I not? I cannot pull up these cards anymore. Come on. Alright, well, let's see if I can zoom in then. Brave, please. There we go. Alright, Rally. Count the number of allied followers that have entered the field during the match. Some abilities only activate if your rally count is greater than or equal to the specified number. So she has Rally 20. So if 20 followers have entered your field before you play her, then she gets to super evolve for free. That's really good. That's obviously very, very useful. If you can get a 3rd super evolution in the game, now you're cooking. Obviously, you can already get like an extra super evolve with Olivia, which is a Swordcraft card. Like, Olivia is a neutral card, but she gets played in Swordcraft. So the more super evolves you can pull off, the better off you are. So this is great. And you can play 3 copies of this card, which means that you can potentially get 3 extra super evolves, which would be insane. This is like one of the best mid-range cards I've ever seen. And more importantly, it rewards you for playing tokens. Like, this card is definitely a mid-range powerful card, but it specifically benefits you if you are playing the cheap cards that say summon a 1/1, summon a 2/2 at the beginning of the game. I feel like even with that, it might be too high. I feel like 20 is probably too high. I'm sure they're testing this, but I mean, if you want this card to reasonably activate on turn 6, then you might need to tone this down to like 12, maybe. Maybe they don't want it to activate on turn 6, which should be kind of unfortunate. We'll have to see. Alright. In addition to her ridiculous ability of super evolving her if you play her for after 20 cards, she has, when another allied follower enters the field, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. That is also a very, very good, I summon a bunch of tokens, therefore I can burn the whole field. So, very strong card. Actually, this kind of feels like, to be honest, this feels less like a Swordcraft Knight card and more like a Portalcraft Puppet boss monster. Missed opportunity, I guess. When this follower evolves, summon 2 copies of Steelclad Knight and give them Rush. Okay, now this is new. This is new, and this is very nice. It says when this follower evolves. It doesn't say evolve or super evolve. So this is an effect that will trigger regardless of her type of evolution. I feel like we're going to see more cards like this, because to be honest, it kind of feels bad to have cards that are like middling costs that have an evolve effect, like this card, for example. This card kind of feels bad because it has an evolve effect, so if you super evolve it, you don't get the effect. There are going to be some times where either you're out of evolutions at the time that you draw the card, or you need to super evolve it for more stats. So this card saying, I will trigger whether you evolve me or super evolve me is really good. So yeah, I like this. Alright. Next up we have Lilanthem Anathema of Audacity, which is a 8 mana 5/5 with last words, Earthright 2, summon a Lilanthem Anathema of Audacity. Super evolve, select 2 enemy followers on the field and destroy them. Okay, so this is obviously the card from the main creature that was featured in the trailer with the big teeth. She's a Runecraft legendary, which is fantastic, and she, I guess she has aura. I didn't even see that she had aura. That's crazy. So she's an 8 mana 5/5. If you super evolve her, she gets to blow up 2 cards for free, which is great. And she has aura, so she can't be removed by spells. And then she has last words, summon another copy of herself, which triggers infinitely, as long as you can keep paying the 2 Earthright cost. That is absolutely 100% a huge benefit for just playing a pure Earthright deck. I don't think it's better than Spell Boost, but it's different. They're not trying to make Earthcraft into like a Spell Boost copy. It's just a different way to play Runecraft. And now it feels like it might be a legitimate strategy. It's probably going to be worse than Spell Boost, but if you want to play Earthcraft, Earth Sigils, Earthrights, now you really feel like you actually have an opportunity to do so. So that's actually pretty cool. I like this. This is what they should do. They should, for the strong decks, for Runecraft and for Portalcraft, instead of releasing cards that are just going to make the deck better right now when the decks are already really good, they should release cards that encourage the decks to play in different ways, so that at the very least, even if they are strong, they can feel different. I like this. This is good. Alright, next up we have Feline Whitefrost Bloom. This card was also in the trailer. 2 mana 2/2 Dragoncraft. Fanfare, if you're an overflow, add a Whitefrost Whisper to your hand. Bane, evolve, deal 1 to all enemy followers. That is amazing, actually. That is ridiculous. So, okay, so let's talk about this. First up, she's a 2/2 with Bane. So if you play her on turn 2, you're probably not happy about that, because she's probably just going to get cleared, but it's an option. You can play her on true if you need to. She has evolve, deal 1 damage to all enemy followers. And when she has Bane, that means she kills everything. So if you play this on turn 4 or 5, you can evolve it, and then by giving up one of your evolves, you kill everything, and she takes no damage. That's really good. That's obviously a very, very good card. And then, if you're an overflow, which means you have 7 or more play points, you add a Whitefrost Whisper to your hand. So she's good. She's playable on 2. She's not a dead card in your hand on 2. She's good on turn 4, and she's amazing on turn 7. That's great. Let's see what this Whitefrost Whisper is. White Frost Whisper. Select a mode to activate for 3 mana. Either destroy all damaged enemy followers, or increase the cost of all cards in the opponent's hand by 1 until the end of the turn. So you can. So this is a card that will literally like stop Portalcraft, which is great, you know. So if Dragon and for Dragoncraft in particular, since they have so much extra mana, if they get another ramp card and they are able to consistently establish that they are going to get to turn to 9 mana or 10 mana first, then delaying a combo deck like Portalcraft 1 turn may be all they need to actually kill their opponent before they get stopped. So this is a very good card, I think, for Dragoncraft to have. And this effect where you increase the cost of cards in your opponent's hand by 1 is going to be useful. And I think they should probably print more of these, because that's going to be the way to stop these like slow combo decks from winning the game on turn 10. Alright, next up we have Genzetsu and Yuzuki Twin Calamities. This is a 9 mana Abysscraft legendary, which is a 5/9. Fanfare, select a mode to activate. Either you can summon 4 copies of a one-tailed fox, or you can destroy 4 random enemy followers and restore 4 defense to your leader. So you get to literally clear your opponent's entire board, except for if they have 5 units. Then you heal 4. Or, if you don't need to do that, you can summon 4 copies of a one-tailed fox. One-tailed fox is a 2-mana 2/3 with Rush and Ward, and it has last words give Genzetsu and Yuzuki +1/+0. So that's actually really funny, because they are a 9 mana 5/9. If you summon the 4 one-tailed foxes and they all die, that makes them a 9 mana 9/9. So they literally become a 9-tailed fox if you kill all of them. So great flavor, great flexibility. It's a very powerful card either way that it gets activated. The question is, will Abysscraft be able to survive until turn 9? Because they hurt themselves. So, more healing is good, definitely, for Abysscraft. More healing is good. But the question is, this needs to be paired with like a little more drain. We need a little bit more drain so that Abysscraft can hurt themselves in the early game, heal up in the mid game, and clear in the late game. Yeah. So I feel like this is a great start for their deck. Okay. Odin Twilight Fate. This is a neutral rarity card. It is a 7 mana 4/2 with Storm, and Fanfare, select an enemy card on the field and banish it. So you play this card, you banish one of your opponent's cards, you super evolve it, and you hit for 7. That is a fairly good finisher. 7 is not quite enough, but it is like, it's like your backup plan if your main in-class ability doesn't kill your opponent. And you do have 2 super evolves, so that's fine. I feel like there's absolutely nothing wrong with this card. Even if you run out of super evolves, banishing one of your opponent's cards and hitting for 4 is like a good use of 7 mana. So I think that this will probably see plenty of play. And then the last card in the list is a card that we are not sure how it works. Wait, is this card? Yeah, okay. They were highlighting this card because she was in the trailer, but it's been explained how this card works. Okay, cool. All right, great. So that is it, and then we will be able to get a new starter deck from Infinity Evolved. And it looks like the legendaries are going to be included in these starter decks. So whichever legendary you thought was good, whether it was the 9-tailed fox or the infinite runecraft or the swarm swordcraft or the desperation paladin or the where is she? The Wing Queen for fairies. Regardless of what you think is going to be good, you'll be able to pick it up for free and play it at the start of the expansion, which is July 17th. So there you go. This is the new news. These are all the new cards. My name is Serafi, and I was thrilled to have all of you with me.